Have you ever been told you've changed and felt like you've done something wrong? One of the ladies in one of our recent coaching calls shared that someone close to her kept saying, "You've changed." And it wasn't said with pride or as a compliment. It came across more as a warning. And I couldn't help but laugh because the first thing that came to my mind was underwear. Okay, stay with me. None of us are wearing the same underwear we wore when we were 5 years old. Most of us aren't even wearing the same underwear we did 3 years ago. Why? Because it no longer fits. It's worn out. We've outgrown it. And nobody, absolutely nobody feels guilty about that. Nobody stands in front of their underwear drawer and says, I really should keep these. I've had them for years. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Yet somehow when it comes to our lives, we do exactly that. We hold on to habits that no longer fit, relationships that no longer fit, expectations that no longer fit, versions of ourselves that no longer fit. And maybe you've seen it, someone starts setting boundaries, starts saying no, starts taking care of themselves, starts asking for more, starts tolerating less. And almost immediately, somebody says, "You've changed." Of course they've changed. And that's the point. The strange thing would be if they hadn't changed. But here's what I think that's happening. The conversation isn't actually about change. It was actually about guilt. Why does "you've changed" land the way it does? Why does it feel almost like an accusation even when we know growth is good? Here's what I think. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that disappointing people was the same thing as doing something wrong. So instead of asking, "Is this right for me?" we start asking, "Will everyone else be comfortable with this?" And these are very different questions. One of them builds your life, the other builds theirs. And here's what I find really interesting. We celebrate growth in every other area. So say if our child hits every milestone, we would frame it on the wall, right? And if a business doubles its profits in a year, we tell everybody at dinner and we'll tell that story. And say if our garden finally blooms after a difficult season, we would take photographs of every single petal. Yet, when a person grows, when a woman starts taking up more space, asking for more, tolerating less, holding stronger boundaries, then the language shifts to "she's changed. She thinks she's better than us. I don't know who she is anymore." So we celebrate bloom everywhere else but in this scenario. But growth changes your fit. The version of you today should not fit perfectly into the current version of you. So the version of you today shouldn't fit into the version of you from 10 years ago. That wouldn't be growth. That would be a very long pause. Think about who you were 10 years ago, the things you believed, the things you tolerated, the dreams you were too afraid to say out loud. Wouldn't it be more concerning if nothing had changed? The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may not celebrate your boundaries today. The people who were comfortable with the version of you that needed their approval may not immediately understand the current version of you that doesn't need the approval anymore. But that doesn't mean that you are wrong. It means that the blueprint is shifting. Not everything that fit your old life is meant to fit into your new life. Not every habit, not every expectation, not every relationship, not every version of yourself. Some things serve their purpose. Their season has ended, and that isn't failure. And that isn't selfishness. That is growth. That is the life that is being built and being designed. So the question isn't whether you've changed. I hope you would have changed. The question is whether you're willing to wear what fits now. And so even when people prefer the old version of you, even when the fit feels unfamiliar for them, and sometimes for you, because growth always changes the fit, and not everything is meant to come with you. The blueprint is being built. Let it. And stop apologizing for becoming who you are. If someone has told you you've changed, I'd like you to drop it in the comments. I want to hear what you said and what you did with it. And here's what I've noticed. Most people don't stay stuck because they don't know what to do. They stay stuck because knowing and living are two very different things. That's what we are going to be talking about next in the next video. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And I'll see you on the next video.